Welcome to another episode of Just and Joyful with Kristin Carver Smith. I am your host, Kristin Carver Smith, or KCS, as many folks call me. And today's guest is both a dear friend as well as a powerhouse businesswoman and just human being in general, Bianca B. King. Bianca, welcome to the Just and Joyful podcast.
Oh my gosh, Kristin, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I am so excited to have this conversation with you.
Likewise. For those of you who are not familiar with Bianca, and some of you actually might be familiar with Bianca because she's been featured in Essence, she's been in Forbes, she's a regular contributor to Entrepreneur, she's been featured in Fast Company, she is a former Forbes Business Council member as well, and she has been in business for nearly 30 years, right, Bianca?
A very long time, yes. Started way back in the 90s in commercial real estate, and then founded my agency in 2008. So cumulatively, oh goodness, the entire portion of that would be almost 30 years, about 28 years, if I could speak.
So I want listeners to understand, you have helped close over 1.6 billion with a B, billion dollars in transactions. And that in and of itself is just incredible. And I think a lot of people are probably like, what, billions? What? Yeah. And I think you have such an incredible story. You left home at 13 to escape the instability that you experienced as a child. And you have built something so incredible. I look at you and I'm like, you are not only professionally successful, but just like personally, as someone who has had the privilege of getting to know you more intimately over the past couple of years, I'm just continuously inspired by the life that you have built and created for yourself. And I'm so excited to share more about that with listeners today because, I think, right, that some of us can go like 1.6B, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to do that. And you've been in all of these places. And at the same time, it's like, I always think about how relatable you are.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so moved, again, by your story. And I think listeners will see themselves in a lot of pieces of it too. And so I want to start though, because you just gave, and I was there, you just gave a really incredible opening keynote at the Level Up Summit, which is hosted by Pretty Damn Ambitious, the incredible community that you run. And I was so, in that keynote, you talk about how we can experience different seasons personally and professional. I think we hear a lot about like, I'm in, and I quite literally wrote a song about being in different seasons. And but it wasn't until I heard you deliver that keynote that I was like, oh my gosh, like it's so powerful. The way that you put into words what so many of the women in the audience that day were feeling of that my business is in spring, but personally I'm in winter. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that intro. And it's something that you and I have talked about. It was a divine download. I had been thinking about what am I going to talk to these women about? And my keynote came just a few days before the actual event. And essentially it helped me understand one of the hardest seasons of my life and just giving language to something that I previously didn't understand. So essentially understanding that your life, like you're saying, can be in spring or summer, your business can be in spring or summer, but then your life could be in winter. And part of the reason why I was able to kind of reframe this is because I literally lived it, right? So I started the keynote off with talking about May 3rd, 2023, and how I was featured in Essence magazine. And then my husband collapsed, and 18 months after that one day, was just a crazy, tumultuous events of my husband's cardiac event, which eventually led him to having open heart surgery. And so my business and my life at that point was in full summer. And, during the keynote, I said full hot girl summer because I just was feeling it. I was feeling it on in every level, all cylinders go. And then that one incident essentially switched my life, my personal life, into winter.
Mm. And I think listeners can probably they're like, yep, I have absolutely had those really pivotal moments that where I'm like, I don't know, like, how do I navigate and how do I handle when it feels like one of the things is really taking off? And, we talk about spring and we think about blooming and summer and all of this sort of stuff of thriving and flourishing, but at the same time of hitting the hardest wall personally. And you are known on the interwebs and in the business world as the ambition architect, right? As and some people even say this is the ambition lady. And I'm curious, how did your ambition ebb and flow during that time? Because I'm thinking about our listeners who are, again, maybe finding themselves in two different seasons right now and are going, I'm not even sure I'm ever going to be ambitious again, or maybe I'm ambitious in this area, but it feels like I don't have the room or space to be. So what did that look like for you in that season?
So the best way for me to put it was my ambition was redirected and it also was throttled back for my business. So because my ambition's not going to go away. That's who I am. Right. But my ambition was directed to my husband. And being a wife and not a CEO, how can I make sure that he has all the care and support that he needs to get through the season? How can we ensure that we are dedicating our time to make sure that he has the right doctors and all the right personnel that he needs to be able to understand his diagnosis, prepare for it, have the surgery, and then recover. And then, of course, his mental state, making sure that he was good. Making sure that our relationship was solid. So that's where my ambition got redirected. And then for the business, it just got throttled back. I was like, I can't have my hot girl summer. I've got to throttle things back in business and really make sure that I am focused on the most important and significant person in my life. And that was my husband, or is my husband, I should say.
Mm. Did you have grief around that?
Grief around throttling my ambition back?
Yeah.
No, never.
Really?
No. The moment called for something different. And this is part of what I talked about, during the keynote. You have to be able to read where you are and make a truly wise choice, the wise response, right? My wise response was, no, do not add more new business to my multiple businesses. Keep what you have, and recalibrate in a way that really makes sense for what's happening in your personal life. Could I have held both and done it? Probably, but I probably would not be talking to you right now because I'd probably be somewhere burned out, right?
Yeah.
So it's really making sure that I understood the moment called for me to be a wife, not the CEO. And so that was my focus.
Gosh, I love that. And again, I think I think anyone who's listening in particular, who's a business owner, right, is going to navigate those moments. And, no matter what role our listeners find themselves in right now, I think we inevitably come across situations where we feel like we're at a crossroads and we got to choose. And,
yes,
you talk a lot about joyful ambition. And I think a lot, ambition can be like a really charged word.
Very, like money.
Yeah. People can have a lot of feelings about that. And I will say, even for myself, after navigating, my mental health emergency, I wondered, what does ambition mean to me? And having known you and the work that you're doing around joyful ambition, I think I was asking myself, is it possible for me to embrace joyful ambition? And so I'd love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about how did you even identify that there was this, like, we need something different here?
Yeah. You started at the top of my story of leaving home at 13. And that story is essentially what drove my ambition, having to navigate the world for myself. But that initial ambition was survival ambition. It was the ambition at all costs of myself, my health, sometimes relationships, right? I was so driven to make sure that I would not be that impoverished girl from San Antonio, right? And that survival ambition doesn't come with an off switch. It was until I burned out, all the different things that happen until I understand, what? Ambition, it's fluid. It can evolve. It doesn't need to be this one static thing, right? And so my survival ambition basically evolved to sustainable ambition, which evolved to joyful ambition. Now, joyful ambition, as I define it, is the joyful, diligent pursuit of success informed by your ideals, with agency as the compass and joy as the foundation. We are living right now. That's it. This is all we get is right now, this present moment. So we can't postpone joy. Joy has to be foundational in everything we do, regardless if it's business or personal.
I feel like we need to let the listeners sit with that for a second. We care so much about joy that we put it in the title of this podcast.
Right, exactly. Joy is everything.
It is. It absolutely is. I think you said something, though, that I want to go back to, because I actually haven't heard anybody frame it this way. I don't even know that we have talked about it this way of survival ambition. Mm-hmm. And man, that's a really, it's powerful framing. I'm just always so moved by the way that you put words to the things that many of us are feeling, and that you give us new language for that. I think for some of our listeners who might find themselves in that place of like, I recognize that I've been living, that my fuel has been the survival ambition.
Right.
What would you say to them right now?
Yeah. So here, two parts. Survival ambition has a place. Survival ambition skyrocket me out of poverty, right? It really helped me understand that life could be better than what it was. Now, survival ambition without an off switch is the problem. Now, if you're in survival ambition and that is the only ambition that you know, it's time to take stock and really think about what your drive to succeed is costing you. Is it costing you your health? Is it costing relationships? Is it costing you anything that you don't want to sacrifice? And if it is, then that's when you need to have that pause and really think about the best way to deploy ambition. And given the framework around joyful ambition, that's a way that you can kind of pivot to that.
So good. So you talked about survival ambition, that it can cost us.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you of when you had a chance to pause and take stock and go like, I think I might want to explore something more sustainable than this. Like, what did you identify some of those costs? Like what were some of those costs for you that you were noticing for yourself?
Yeah. For me, it was burnout. I was not a traditional college student. And so, when I was working full time in commercial real estate, I was also working on multiple degrees. I was climbing the corporate ladder at the same time. I was getting real estate license. I was employee of the year twice. I won deal of the year. I was doing all of those things simultaneously while not having any real community or support. I didn't have any family I could lean on. I didn't have like a whole lot of friends or anything. I was so focused and so driven on, I've got to become this version of myself. And so I burned out because I was burning every cylinder, every candle, all of it. And I knew like life has to be better than this. I can't just feel horrible all the time. And then all of a sudden I have success. And from my perspective, it's like, is this really success? What success actually feels like to me is joy. It feels like wanting to wake up and be in my life and to engage with people who understand and want to work on similar things. And just having those moments where you really are living life, not trying to acquire something or feel successful.
You are just dropping all the gems, all the wisdom for us. I'm curious, when you experienced burnout, what was one of the first steps that you took? Like, how did you come back?
Gosh. Slowly but surely, I felt like literally clawed my way out of a pit. Part of my comeback, I would have to say 1,000,000%, was my husband. He was so patient, so kind, understood what I was going through, even though he didn't understand what I was going through, that it was truly burnout, but he understood what I needed in that moment. And he really helped me recalibrate and find myself, right? We did that through, him just talking it through, like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm dealing with. And honestly, a lot of rest. My husband says I probably slept like for a year. I'm like, I didn't sleep for a year, but I probably slept pretty significantly for like 6 months, literally, because my body needed the rest. And then as my body started to recover, then I could start mentally recovering. It was a very difficult, but the right thing that I needed in that moment, because if I didn't have the burnout, I wouldn't be here in this moment the way I am right now. I wouldn't have found joyful ambition.
It's so good. It's so good. And I'm curious because we talk about the importance of sleep and rest quite a bit on this like it keeps coming up as this theme. And I think, we really underestimate the impact that has on our well-being, particularly our mental well-being.
Yes.
And were you surprised by how much you slept during that time? Like, were you, I was going to say, like, how did that go? How did resting go? For those listeners who are like, Bianca, there's no way I'm laying down. Like, I can't bring myself to do that. Like, what was that? What was that like for you?
Well, my body forced me. I mean, I didn't have a choice. My body was like, no more. You've put us through enough. And, thankfully, this was back in my 30s. So but 6 months recovery, I'm not sure if that's a long time or whatever for burnout, but I felt like I recovered well and got back, as robustly as I could. But sometimes you have to make yourself sit down. You do. And it may not be in the form of sleep and, some of these other things. You need to find the thing that makes you happy. So maybe it's just a walk. Maybe it's reading a book. It's that quiet time where your mind can actually be still. That makes all the difference in the world, because now you're training your nervous system that you don't have to be on high alert all the time, right? You're not looking for the next thing or the next strategy or the next business deal, whatever. So you're training your nervous system to down throttle, if you will. And then with that down throttling, as you do it habitually, then sleep and all of those other things will really be more restorative.
I love that. I'm also curious too, because it's interesting to hear you sort of reflect on your ambition during these different chapters of your life. And, I'm curious of what was that moment for you when you really started looking at ambition in a really intentional way and going like, I think I might want to sort of study this. I think I might want to because again, you are quite literally the ambition lady. Like you are an ambition architect, and you help others do that for themselves at all different walks of life. And so,
Yeah.
like, what was that moment for you of, I'm imagining it maybe wasn't in the pit of burnout, but maybe it was. Like, I'm just
It was
curious
close.
when that started emerging
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, it was actually close to burnout again. It was
Really?
2019, and my agency was doing exceptionally well. We're serving clients, like everything was again, full summer. But I wasn't full summer. I was in winter or fall, about to be into winter. Uh, my body, the way I was feeling, and I was like, "Am I feeling burnout again? Like, what's going on?" And the pandemic pause is what made me really reevaluate my ambition, because a lot of what I learned and used as survival ambition and then used that in corporate to, build my career, I had brought those same things into my agency. And that's why I was able to, build my agency so quickly
Yeah.
and land so many, great contracts and all of that. But then, like I said, 2019 hit and I'm like, wait, this isn't right. So I had to really pause and think about, I love my ambition. My ambition is the thing that really has helped me become the person I am. Now, how do I leverage it in a way that feels more sustainable? And that's when all the work on ambition started. So basically it started around 2020 during our pause. 2021 is when I came up with the idea of Pretty Damn Ambitious. The first iteration of that was like, well, I want to work with a whole lot of badass women coaches, right? It was really about me wanting to help other women entrepreneurs understand the best way to deploy their ambition. And a lot of that is sometimes through coaching, really making sure that you're matched with the right person so that you can grow your business or grow your personal life. That since has evolved to more, and I love that I've given myself that freedom to be able to evolve the definition of ambition and how I can deploy it as I keep, moving throughout my life.
And I feel like the way that you talk about ambition, it's like the image I have is I think about it as fuel. I think about it as a resource. I think about, I love that you talk about deploying it, harnessing it, utilizing it. And I don't know that that's how we have culturally thought about ambition too. It kind of feels like it's like it feels more like a thought, right? Than it does this resource that we could actually grab hold of,
Right.
and leverage. And when you, again, I love that you are known as an ambition architect. And how did you arrive at architect?
Yeah. Good question. Because I was like, I'm building my ambition. I'm rebuilding my ambition, trying to do it in a way that is sustainable. Well, who builds? Architects. So that's kind of the way I kind of put those two together. So, and our ambition evolves, it changes. So the same thing that I felt, well, let's go back just one second. So first, we've been talking about ambition, but I mean, what is ambition? If you look at like just the regular dictionary version and definition of ambition, it's just your desire to succeed, right? So my desire to succeed from my 20s versus where I am now is wildly different. And so as you're thinking about that, how are you building your ambition to serve you in the moment versus sacrifice you? Because I believe traditional ambition is taught in a way that it really sacrifices you. And that is not what we want to do with our ambition.
Yeah, it's almost like it feels more extractive, right, than regenerative. Yes. And so when you are talking about ambition, again, that's just the visual that I keep getting is thinking about, it's just regenerative thing. It feels like it could be restorative. It's again just it's so powerful. And so I'm curious because listeners might be thinking right now, like, how do I harness my ambition for myself and to create a really joyful and just life, for myself, and particularly if I feel like I'm in different seasons, personally and professionally. Like, where do you recommend they start?
Yeah, so I have a framework around it called the 5 A's of joyful ambition. And the underlying foundation for everything is always awareness. Understand where you are. And if you are in two different seasons, are you in a personal winter and then a business summer? That's the first thing that you need to do is understand where you are, right? And then part of that framework, there's 4 other ones. So it's alignment. How can you align yourself? And I'm not saying trying to realign the 2 seasons, but how can you align yourself within the season that either one of your business or personal life is in, right? And then really thinking about the way that you can make sure that you're okay, right? So that means that you may have to recalibrate, right? That means that some things, like I was saying earlier, for my business, I couldn't do, right? I had to redirect my ambition to my personal life, right? The second thing I also have is like, maybe it's root. Maybe you just need to stay where you are. And really just
I know listeners are throwing the phone at you right now. I don't want to stay where I'm at. I don't want to do that, Bianca.
Sometimes you do. Sometimes you have to root and just be okay with where you are and just understand it's a season. It's going to pass, right? And then other times you may need to, really, throttle that engine and rev. And you're like, okay, I'm going to move forward and get things done, right? But the first thing that you have to understand is you have to be aware of where you are. And then that awareness is going to help you understand what you need to do in each of those situations.
It's so powerful. And again, I think that our listeners have likely not thought about that in a really tangible way of saying, I think I've maybe felt like I'm in a winter season, despite the fact that it's spring or, or summer or whatever time that they're sort of feeling. But I think, having them do this and put pen to paper too, right, is just so powerful. I'm also curious because we've asked this question a couple of times on the podcast. I'm curious about what it looks like for you. Is that, when you're thinking about like, do I need to root? Do I need to throttle? Do I need to, recalibrate? Like, do I need to do those things? Do you have a sounding board? Like, do you have people that you go to help flesh that out for you? Do you do that with yourself? Like, what does your process for that sort of look like?
Yeah. So, and I've been practicing meditation since 2013. So how long is that? 13 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
So the first thing I go to is myself, prayer and meditation. I need to understand where I am before I can talk to any person externally, right? That starts with stillness. That starts with listening to what your body is saying, what your mind is saying, all of that, so that you can have a real good grasp of, okay, this is happening. Do I need help? Or do I need to just be still and hear the next thing that needs to come, right? If I need help, that's where I reach out to my community. That's why I feel like the Pretty Damn Ambitious Collective is so important. There's so many women who are going through things like this, and they don't, one, have the language for it, or maybe they don't have the right partner or people in their life that can help, right? So it's really about making sure that, one, you understand where you are, and two, if you do need help, really do reach out. Really do reach out. Even if it's that, your best friend and she has 10 million things to do, she'll be happy to help you. Maybe it's, a sibling that you are, connected with and, they could help you. Whomever that you can find as a resource, that's what you should do, especially if you need the help.
So good. And, as you're talking, I'm reminded about earlier in our conversation where you said that your husband was such an important part of coming out of the pit, out of recovering from burnout. And a big part of that was you all talking. And for those of us, myself 100% included here, who live inside our heads all day.
All damn day.
And I think if you also identify as an ambitious person, you likely spend a lot of time architecting, if you will, in your mind, And I have found for myself, Bianca, that there are, it's so helpful for me to continue to take the thoughts that are in my mind. It sounds like such a simple thing. Take the thoughts that are in your mind and speak them out loud, whether that's over yourself as an affirmation, or sometimes even I'll have a conversation with myself out loud about something that feels like, if it doesn't quite feel rational in my mind, I'll say it out loud and see how it hits and lands. And I love that, again, you're reminding our listeners the power of sometimes it's just a simple conversation with someone you trust and getting those thoughts out of your head to help you sort through, like, where am I at right now? And what do I actually need, and what's possible for me? So
and
I appreciate that.
Yeah, especially if they're close to you, like my husband. They're going to see your blind spots, and they're going to see some things that you aren't necessarily recognizing. So that's where it can be very essential when you do need to have that connection and have that reflected back to you, right? Another thing I would also say is journaling, and just free flow journal. I've, again, been journaling for years. Don't think about it. Just like literally just let the pen just do the work and then close it. Don't even reread it that day. And then maybe come back a day or two later and then reread it, or like you're saying, having the full blown conversation with yourself, and sometimes even out loud, right?
Yep.
Just to really kind of help sort things out so that you understand, like, again, orient yourself. Where are you? But not only orienting yourself, thinking about where you actually want to be, especially if you are in a hard season, right? How can I make this season the best it can be in this moment right now? And then when I am in spring or summer, what do I actually want that to look like, right? Because sometimes planning can be the way out of the hard season mentally, right? You may still be in the hard season, but you're thinking about, oh my gosh, once this is done, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And that could be a way to kind of give you some hope and a destination.
So powerful. On the flip side, what would you say to the listener who's like, Bianca, I don't think I got any ambition right now. Like, I think it went away. I don't know if it's there. I'm not sure what I desire and aspire to. What would you say to them?
I'm going to say that you have not lost your ambition. You may have lost your motivation. And those are two distinctly different things. Your motivation sometimes is your energy to want to do something, right? But your desire to succeed, it never leaves. You may not know what that desire is to succeed is yet, but it's really about you finding your motivation again. And once you find your motivation, whatever you're wanting to succeed in is going to pop up like that. And then that's where your ambition lives, right? So two distinct things, right?
And I think you gave such a great example of this too, even thinking about, what you and your husband were navigating with his health, and just, your ambition was getting him well, right? That was the thing, right? And that was channeled into something different. And I think about that even for myself, is that, for folks who are tuning in, watching this, listening right now, and who are saying, I'm finding myself in that place where, like, my quote unquote ambition is getting out of bed in the morning. Like, that is quite literally where I'm at. And I know that well. And Bianca, I know you, and I know you know that well, that is not an unfamiliar thing for you. And so I want our listeners to hear that Bianca and I have done some cool things, and we love our resume and we're proud of it and all of those things. And also, like, we have absolutely had the days and the months and the years where we've been like, my ambition is to survive. My ambition is to live. My ambition is to wake up and get out of this bed and be okay. Like, it is to eat. It is, right? It is to breathe. Like, it is as simple as those things. So I just,
that's a good distinction that you made there as well. Ambition does not have to be this big monstrous thing that we think of it. And most times we think of ambition when it comes to our professional careers. Your ambition, as we've discussed multiple times, can be just, not just, but to raise amazing humans. That can be your ambition, Your ambition in a very hard season can be, I got out of bed, I brushed my teeth, I got back in bed.
Amen.
Don't even have to stay out of bed the entire day. That you got out of bed, you brushed your teeth, you washed your face, you got back in bed. That's it. You ate, like you were saying. That is the one like small thing, that desire to have success in that makes your day successful. That's okay. Again, it comes in so many forms. And I think we have been taught that traditionally ambition is just all about profession, and it's not. It's really about your desire to have a successful life, and how you use that fuel, how you use that resource, the tool to make that happen. And that's what ambition is from my perspective.
Thank you for giving us that permission. Thank you for giving listeners that permission, and for rewriting the definition. I mean, it was past time. We needed a new definition. We needed something that felt, dare I say, just and joyful for each one of us, and and personalized for each one of us. And I love that you just said, our ambition can be raising great humans. Our ambition can be being an incredible sister. It can be being a wonderful colleague. It can be, being the best friend that you can be. It doesn't have to be that that it's limited to being named to the Inc. 5000 list, right? And I feel like those are the things, like you said, right? We will take all of it. We will take all of it, right?
Right.
Yes.
It's expansive. I think, we come to ambition with this inherited version of ambition. And I talk about this in my private podcast, right? We inherited our grandmother's ambition, we inherited our mother's ambition. The way she navigated the world is probably the way we're navigating the world, especially when it comes to success. What I'm saying is you have agency to want what you want and then go out and go after it, right? You have the agency to think about, okay, I want joy in my life. I want joy in my vision, in my ambition. So this is the way that I'm going to achieve that. So remember that, again, your ambition's not static. And two, make sure that it's your ambition. It's not something that was passed down to you like a family heirloom that you didn't want. Make sure that your ambition is truly yours.
Whew, again, that's another, I'm like, I want the listeners to sit in that for just a second. Your ambition is yours. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for reminding us too, that it's not an heirloom. It's not something we've inherited. It's also not something that we have to copy and paste from someone else's life on the internet. Right?
My gosh. Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. We can go into that like real deep. But I also understand, like, if you're a first generation to have any type of wealth, if you're, coming from an immigrant family, a lot of these things are thrust upon us. This is the way you should have success. This is the way you should do X, Y, and Z, right? The immigrants, family that came over and, they want their son or daughter to be a doctor, and all they want to do is be a chef,
Yeah.
We have to have the courage and what I call the radical self-trust to know your desire and to still pursue it despite all of the different things externally that are telling you to do otherwise.
Oh, we could have this conversation for forever, and we will obviously be having Bianca back, folks, because there's so much more for us to say, not only on this topic, but Bianca, again, you just have such an inspiring, incredible story, and I'm excited for us to have you on regularly. For folks to be able to learn from you and to just, savor all of these pearls and gems that you are blessing us with today. So as we get ready to wrap up, we have a little bit of rapid fire for you.
Okay.
So you are a writer. I know you're out here writing all of the time. You're a podcast host. You're also an incredible speaker, keynote speaker. What books are you obsessed with right now?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say something that, 3 years or 5 years ago, I'd be like, wait, what? I'm actually not reading any books right now. Because I'm working on my book. So
Y'all heard it here first.
So I'm trying to focus that, what I call like extra time and energy into, really creating my book and, decanting my story, if you will, excavating all the different things around, how I navigated ambition as a child, as a young adult, in my early career and now, as a business owner who's almost been in business for 20 years. So I'm not reading anything right now, which is the strangest thing for me to say. And believe me, I'm like itching to pick up a book, but I'm like, nope, use this time for you to, really think about how you want to, write this book. And also I've been doing, just writing around the book as well.
Sounds like a lot of awareness right there, a lot of knowing what season you're in, being discerning about what you're putting your hands to, what you're consuming. I love it. We often talk on this podcast about what it's like to regulate our nervous systems and navigate being overstimulated. Like, what's your go-to resource when you're overstimulated?
Yeah. We kind of talked about it before. It's being still. It's that meditation. It also is talking it out. If I'm feeling overstimulated, I've got an amazing husband who is very caring and kind and now understands after, we've been together multiple decades. Sometimes I just need to talk and I'm not looking for an answer. Right. So yeah, but like being still, having that moment of, okay, what's actually happening, not spiraling. 'Cause I think a lot of times we'll do that if we're overstimulated and we'll just start having all these crazy stories and scenarios and, none of it's real. So what is actually happening? How can I have a wise response, if you will, to it? And then if I need more care or more outside, perspective, who can I speak to really give me that reflection back in a way that it's kind and possibly even joyful.
I love that you just said that it's kind.
Yeah. It has to be kind. Yeah.
So important.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is and we talk about justice a lot on this podcast. Again, it's in the name. Who is a justice champion or advocate that you're always hitting repost on?
You. It is you. I have just, and again, like Kristin, we've, we've had multiple conversations and I'm just so excited to see what you've done with the most horrendous winter, that you went through and how you're really using this podcast as a tool to not only, help you unpack what happened, but to help others better navigate, maybe the season that they're going through. So, girl, it's you all day.
Okay, all day. You're gonna have me weeping out here,
all day.
I really appreciate that. That means a lot, and thank you for walking through that season and so many others with me. I'm so grateful. What is something? Last question for you. Yeah. What's something that's bringing you joy right now?
Oh, okay. So this is going to sound really strange, but maybe not. I don't know. I have been growing hibiscus for the past 5 or 6 years. Yeah, I can't remember what island I was on. I've been throughout the Caribbean, multiple times. I can't remember what island I was on, but I remember walking up to this beautiful hibiscus bush. And it was this one perfect bloom on there. And I was like, oh my God, that flower is just absolutely gorgeous. And then about 10 years later, I decided to grow them myself. So right now I have 4 hibiscus and they're all they're not blooming yet, but they're all growing. Because I never know if they're going to come back. You have to cut them all the way back. And then they look like they're dead. It looks completely dead. And so when I start seeing the green, push through the earth and peak and the leaves start getting bigger and greener and just beautiful, that brings me so much joy because I know I'm going to have like the most beautiful flowers in like maybe a month. And they're huge. They're like the size of a plate. So yeah, that's what's bringing me joy right now, that my hibiscus are starting to grow again.
Oh my gosh. And ain't that a metaphor for our lives, right? Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bianca, what a treat to have you on today. And for those tuning in right now, if you want to learn more about Bianca, you can follow her on Instagram at I am Bianca B. King. You can also visit her website, biancabking.com, and pretty damn ambitious. Bianca, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate you as well. It's been awesome.
The Just and Joyful podcast is your host, creator, and executive producer, Kristin Carver Smith, executive producer, Angelina Burkholder, and production engineer, Joshua James. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.